The Galactic Empire had always considered itself the supreme power in the universe, ruling over countless star systems with ease. Their technology was far beyond anything any species could imagine. Their fleets of warships could wipe out planets with a single strike, and their vast armies were equipped with the most advanced eye-controlled machines and robots. To them, the universe was theirs to control, and they viewed other civilizations as nothing more than pawns in their great game of conquest. When they first discovered Earth, the Empire dismissed it as nothing more than a primitive planet, far behind in technology and development. The inhabitants of Earth were still in the early stages of space exploration, barely capable of sending satellites into orbit, let alone building starships capable of interstellar travel. In their arrogance, the Empire decided that Earth would be an easy target, just another world to subjugate and add to their growing empire. Admiral Torak, the commander of the Empire's vast fleet, was given the task of overseeing the invasion. He believed that conquering Earth would be a simple mission, one that would require minimal effort. The human race was seen as weak, and their defenses were assumed to be non-existent. The Empire's commanders didn't even bother to send their most elite units. This mission was a mere formality. They viewed Earth as a joke. With the invasion plan set into motion, Admiral Torak ordered the deployment of a massive fleet of warships, each bristling with weapons and carrying thousands of elite troops. They began their journey toward Earth with the intention of wiping out any human resistance in an instant. However, what the Empire didn't anticipate was the resilience of humanity. As the fleet entered Earth's solar system, they were shocked to find that their first wave of attacks didn't go as planned. Earth's advanced defense systems, eye-controlled satellites, automated drones, and robots designed to protect the planet suddenly went offline. The Empire believed that this was a sign of human weakness, thinking that the planet's systems were outdated and easily disabled. They were wrong. Unknown to the invaders, Earth had a hidden weapon, an underground resistance group that had been preparing for this very moment. For years, they had been developing their own technology, hidden from the Empire's gaze. They had been studying the Empire's tactics and had found a way to counteract their advanced technology. The moment the Empire's ships began their attack, the Resistance launched their first move. A massive space-anchored warship, Sentinel-7, activated its cloaking systems and engaged the Empire's fleet. The Resistance had managed to reverse engineer some of the Empire's technology, and they used it against them. The Sentinel-7 was equipped with advanced EMP devices capable of disabling the Empire's electronic systems. As the warships fired their first volley of missiles toward Earth, the Sentinel-7 fired a pulse that shut down the enemy ship's targeting systems. Admiral Torak, watching from the command deck of his flagship, was enraged. His fleet was being attacked by what he believed were primitive humans, using technology he had thought was far beneath the Empire's notice. How could this be? He had expected to find a world defenseless, a world that would bow to the might of the Galactic Empire without resistance. But the humans were fighting back. The first wave of the Empire's attack was halted, and a sense of disbelief spread across the fleet. Torak immediately ordered reinforcements to be deployed, but the Empire's arrogance had clouded their judgment. They had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. As the humans launched a counteroffensive, the Empire's forces scrambled to regain control. They quickly realized that they were up against an opponent that was much more resourceful and intelligent than they had imagined. The human resistance fighters, though outnumbered, were using clever tactics to outmaneuver their attackers. They struck at the Empire's vulnerable points, targeting their communication lines and disabling their advanced weapon systems. The Empire's fleet, once so confident in its superiority, was now being pushed back by a determined and resourceful enemy. In the midst of the chaos, Admiral Torak stood on the bridge of his flagship, his mind racing. He couldn't understand how this was happening. How could such a primitive species have so much fight in them? He had watched as one of his warships was taken down by a small group of human fighters, using nothing more than outdated missiles and explosive charges. It made no sense. The humans were supposed to be weak, to be easy to control, but they were proving to be anything but. The resistance was proving that Earth was not as weak as the Empire had believed. Their technology may not have been as advanced as the Empire's, but their ability to adapt, to innovate, and to fight for survival made them a force to be reckoned with. The humans had taken what little they had and used it to their advantage, creating weapons and strategies that were unpredictable and difficult to counter. As the battle raged on, Admiral Torek could feel the first cracks forming in his confidence. He had expected to conquer Earth without a fight, but now he was facing an enemy that refused to be beaten. The more he watched, the more he realized that this wasn't just about technology or firepower. It was about the spirit of humanity. And that spirit, it seemed, was something the Galactic Empire had seriously underestimated. The first 9 minutes of the battle had been a turning point. In that short time, the Empire had gone from complete overconfidence to confusion and fear. They were no longer sure of the outcome of the battle. What they had once thought was a simple mission was turning into a nightmare. As the humans fought back with everything they had, it became clear that this was not going to be an easy victory for the Galactic Empire. The first strike had been a failure, and the lessons learned from that failure would resonate through the rest of the battle. Admiral Torek knew that the fight was far from over. He could see that the humans were just getting started, and he realized that they were not the easy target he had once thought them to be. As the first wave of Empire warships retreated, Torek vowed that he would not underestimate the humans again. But as he looked out at the battle unfolding before him, he couldn't shake the feeling that Earth was teaching the Empire a lesson, one that would change the course of the war and perhaps the fate of the galaxy itself. The first wave of the Galactic Empire's attack had already ended in failure. The humans had surprised them with their unexpected resistance, and the Empire was now scrambling to regain control of the situation. However, the Empire's overconfidence proved to be their greatest mistake. They had underestimated humanity, thinking of them as a primitive species, easy to conquer and control. But as the battle unfolded, the humans' ingenuity, determination, and resourcefulness began to shine through. While the Empire's fleet regrouped, Earth's scientists and military experts were working tirelessly behind the scenes, determined to turn the tide in their favor. After the initial shock of the Empire's invasion, human technology began to evolve at an alarming pace. In underground bunkers and hidden laboratories, engineers and technicians worked around the clock to develop new weapons and defense systems that could help them push back the Empire. Eye-powered drones were the first breakthrough. Earth's engineers quickly adapted the Empire's own technology, creating drones capable of disabling the advanced cloaking systems and shields that the Empire's warships relied on. These drones, designed to be both stealthy and highly efficient, were deployed into the battlefield and began to wreak havoc on the Empire's fleet. They moved silently through space, using electromagnetic pulses, EMPs, to disable the enemy ship's energy shields and cloaking devices. Meanwhile, the Earth's space fighters, equipped with their own advanced weaponry, took advantage of the Empire's temporary vulnerability. The humans' fighter pilots, many of whom were veterans of the planet's defense forces, executed targeted attacks on the Empire's warships, strategically disabling engines, weapons, and communication systems. The Empire's once dominant fleet, so confident in its superior firepower, was now under siege by smaller, more agile human forces. It was a battle of technology and willpower. The Empire had the numbers and the resources, but the humans had something far more dangerous: their relentless desire to survive. They fought not just for victory, but for their homes, their families, and their way of life. In the middle of this fierce conflict, one soldier stood out among the rest: Bonner. He was a young man with a fire in his eyes and a purpose that burned deep within him. Bonner had lost everything when the Empire first attacked Earth. His family, his friends, and his home had been torn apart by the Empire's forces. His world had been shattered, and now He had only one mission in mind: revenge. Bonner was part of the elite resistance group that had been leading Earth's counterattack. He was one of the soldiers who had risked everything to defend Earth, even when the odds seemed impossible. The memories of his fallen comrades pushed him forward, fueling his determination to fight back against the invaders who had taken so much from him. Each day on the battlefield, Bonner took greater risks, throwing himself into dangerous missions, knowing that every victory, no matter how small, brought him closer to avenging his family. As the battle raged on, Bonner's story became emblematic of the human spirit. His bravery and resolve inspired those around him, and his name quickly became known throughout the resistance. Bonner was no longer just a soldier. He had become a symbol of hope for the people of Earth. Despite the overwhelming power of the Empire's forces, Bonner refused to back down. He led his fellow soldiers in daring attacks against the Empire's warships, using his knowledge of the enemy's weaknesses to strike where it hurt the most. The Resistance had learned how to exploit the vulnerabilities in the Empire's technology, and Bonner's relentless pursuit of the enemy made him one of the most effective fighters in the war. One particularly daring mission saw Bonner leading a small squadron of fighters through a massive fleet of Empire warships. Their goal was to disable the flagship of Admiral Torek, a crucial target that would cripple the Empire's command structure and significantly impact their ability to coordinate further attacks. The mission was perilous, but Bonner's leadership and determination inspired his team to push forward, knowing that failure was not an option. The team made their way past the Empire's outer defenses, using their advanced weaponry to knock out enemy shields and disable key systems. As they approached the flagship, Bonner knew that the hardest part was still to come. The flagship was heavily guarded, and the Empire's best soldiers were on board. But Bonner was undeterred. He had seen too much destruction, lost too much to allow the Empire to succeed. As they closed in on their target, the Empire's forces retaliated with everything they had. Laser fire and missiles streaked through space, but Bonner and his team expertly dodged and returned fire, each shot fired with precision. In the chaos of battle, Bonner's thoughts were focused on one thing: taking down Admiral Torek's ship and delivering a blow to the heart of the Empire. In a thrilling moment of action, Bonner's team managed to breach the flagship's outer defenses. As they boarded the ship, Bonner led the charge, taking down enemy soldiers with expert precision. His team fought tooth and nail, pushing deeper into the heart of the flagship until they reached the command center. There, Bonner faced off against an Imperial officer, a cold and calculating soldier who had been part of the Empire's reign of terror for years. In a fierce hand-to-hand battle, Bonner emerged victorious, but not without cost. As the officer fell, Bonner's squadron was forced to retreat, their mission a success, but their numbers dwindling. The damage they had inflicted on the flagship was immense, and the Empire's forces would take some time to recover. But the victory came at a personal cost for Bonner. He had lost several of his closest comrades in the battle. Despite the heavy losses, Bonner's resolve only grew stronger. Each victory, each small triumph over the Empire, was a step closer to the final goal: defeating the Galactic Empire and freeing Earth from their grasp. As Bonner looked out at the wreckage of the Empire's fleet, he knew that the fight was far from over. But for the first time, there was a sense of hope in the air. The Empire had underestimated humanity, and they were about to learn a hard lesson. The human spirit could never be crushed. Bonner's journey was far from over, but in that moment, he knew that Earth's resistance was on the rise, and the Empire's downfall was inevitable. The underdogs were fighting back, and they were winning. The Galactic Empire's forces had proven to be an unstoppable force, at least at first. Their sheer numbers, advanced technology, and highly trained soldiers seemed to guarantee victory. But humanity was different. Despite the Empire's overwhelming strength, humans had fought back with ingenuity, resourcefulness, and a relentless desire to survive. The tide of battle had begun to shift, and with it, the determination of the humans only grew stronger. However, the cost of resistance was high. The battle was far from over, and the human forces knew that they could not stop fighting until the Empire was completely defeated. The next phase of the war would test them like never before. It was a time for difficult decisions, where the line between victory and defeat was razor thin, and some sacrifices had to be made. Bonner had become a hero to the human forces. His bravery and leadership had inspired soldiers, civilians, and even the Martian colonies to rally behind the cause. His name had become synonymous with the fight for survival. But in the chaos of war, even heroes are not invincible. It all came to a head during one of the most crucial missions of the war. The humans had managed to infiltrate the Empire's defenses, taking down multiple warships and causing chaos in the enemy ranks. But the Empire wasn't going to let Earth's resistance go unpunished. They had one final weapon in their arsenal, a massive, heavily fortified flagship. The ship was the heart of the Empire's fleet, and if it remained operational, the Empire would regain control and crush the human resistance. The mission to take down the flagship was one of the most dangerous yet. The human forces had devised a plan to disable the ship's core systems by infiltrating its inner sanctum. The plan involved a daring attack that would require Bonner and his team to infiltrate the flagship's heavily guarded defenses. It was a mission that no one expected to return from, but Bonner was resolute. He knew the stakes. If they failed, Earth would fall. As the mission began, the humans made their way toward the flagship. Their path was fraught with danger as the Empire's automated drones and AI-controlled defense systems patrolled the ship's corridors. The tension was palpable as soldiers silently made their way through the ship, avoiding detection while preparing for the final assault. But as the mission advanced, things quickly spiraled into chaos. The Empire's robots, enhanced with artificial intelligence, were relentless in their pursuit of the human infiltrators. The humans fought back with everything they had. The close-quarter combat was brutal. Hand-to-hand fighting, explosive charges, and high-tech weaponry all in play. As the battle raged on, the human soldiers fought fiercely, determined to finish the mission no matter the cost. Bonner's leadership kept the team together, even as they were pushed to their limits. However, the Empire's forces were not to be underestimated. They began to regroup, and the humans found themselves trapped in a deadly crossfire. Bonner knew they had to take action fast, or the mission, and their chance to destroy the flagship, would fail. He made a quick decision, one that no one could have anticipated. He would sacrifice himself for the greater good. In a heroic move, Bonner took command of the human ship that had been part of the operation. He ordered his crew to take the ship directly into the flagship's heart. It was a suicidal move, but Bonner was willing to give everything to ensure the humans had a fighting chance. He knew that by sacrificing his life, he would deliver a devastating blow to the Empire's command structure, potentially crippling their ability to fight back. Bonner's final moments were spent in a mix of determination and sorrow. As the ship hurtled toward the flagship, Bonner's thoughts were on his family, his comrades, and the future of Earth. He knew that his death would be a symbol of the sacrifices made by every soldier, every civilian, and every Martian who had joined the fight. His final act of bravery was one that would resonate with the survivors for generations to come. The ship crashed into the Empire's flagship with an enormous explosion. The impact was felt throughout the entire fleet, and for a moment, the Empire's forces faltered. The blast crippled the flagship's systems, leaving the ship vulnerable to attack. The humans had accomplished their goal, but the price was steep. Bonner was gone, and his comrades had lost a beloved leader. Despite the devastation of losing Bonner, his death sparked something in the hearts of the remaining human soldiers. The moment was tragic, but it also ignited a new fire within the resistance. The human forces, already emboldened by their earlier victories, now fought with a renewed sense of purpose. Bonner's sacrifice had solidified their resolve. They would not let his death be in vain. The news of Bonner's heroic actions spread quickly throughout Earth, the Martian colonies, and the outer reaches of the human resistance. His name became a rallying cry for those who fought against the Empire's oppression. Martian soldiers, who had long been hesitant to fully commit to the human cause, now joined the fight in greater numbers. The civilians, too, took up arms, inspired by the bravery of a man who had given everything for their survival. The battle for Earth had turned into something much larger than just a fight against an invading force. It had become a war of survival, of freedom, and of sacrifice. Bonner's death was a painful reminder of the costs of war, but it also marked a turning point for the resistance. No longer were they just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the memory of those they had lost, and for the hope of a future free from tyranny. The battle continued, and the humans pushed forward with unwavering determination. Orbital bombardments rained down from the sky as the Empire's remaining forces tried to regain their hold on Earth. But the humans, inspired by Bonner's sacrifice, fought back with everything they had. The enemy's robots clashed with human soldiers in intense, bloody battles, while daring space ambushes kept the Empire off balance. Each skirmish, each victory, was a tribute to the fallen hero. In the end, the humans' resolve proved stronger than the Empire's might. Bonner's sacrifice had united the human forces in a way nothing else could. His death had inspired a wave of determination that would carry the humans through the darkest days of the war. As the battle raged on, the humans knew that the end was near. The Empire would fall, and Earth would be free. Bonner's legacy lived on, not just in the soldiers who fought by his side, but in the hearts of all those who had been touched by his sacrifice. His death was a turning point in the war, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, humanity could rise above the greatest odds. It was a lesson the Empire would never forget. The Galactic Empire had always seen itself as the ultimate power in the galaxy. Its military might, its superior technology, and its vast resources had crushed countless civilizations before Earth's. When the Empire set its sights on Earth, it did so with utter confidence. They viewed humanity as a primitive, insignificant species, one that could be easily eradicated without much effort. They underestimated Earth's capacity for survival, strategy, and innovation. As the battle between the humans and the Empire unfolded, the tide of the war began to turn in a direction no one had anticipated. The Empire's forces, with their superior technology, were being outsmarted and outmaneuvered at every turn. Earth's military, led by a group of passionate and determined soldiers, proved that humans were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their freedom, their future, and their way of life. Admiral Torak, the Empire's top commander, watched in disbelief as his forces continued to falter. His flagship, once thought to be an invincible symbol of the Empire's dominance, was now a target for the human resistance. The humans had somehow gained the upper hand, and Torak knew he needed to act quickly before the entire Empire's plans were thrown into chaos. Yet, despite their advanced technology and overwhelming numbers, the Empire could not figure out how Earth's forces were consistently managing to stay one step ahead. The humans weren't just relying on brute strength or technology. They were using something far more dangerous: their intelligence and resilience. The humans had learned how to fight back, not just on the battlefield, but in the hearts and minds of their enemies. Their spirit was unmatched, and that was what made them truly dangerous. The first sign that the Empire had miscalculated came when they realized Earth had developed a way to disable their advanced cloaking systems. The humans had used a combination of AI-powered drones, electromagnetic pulse, EMP devices, and clever tactics to disrupt the Empire's fleet. It wasn't just about brute force, it was about strategy. The humans had infiltrated the Empire's communication lines, disrupted their command structure, and thrown their plans into disarray. This was not the work of a primitive species. It was the work of an intelligent, resourceful, and relentless enemy. As the war escalated, the humans' tactics grew even more sophisticated. Their resistance forces had become a well-oiled machine, and they had learned how to use the Empire's technology against them. They hacked into the Empire's AI systems, using their own artificial intelligence to infiltrate and manipulate the Empire's communications. The Empire's once impenetrable network of defense was now exposed to human hackers, and their own communications were being twisted to the humans' advantage. This was a turning point for both sides. For the humans, it was a game changer. They had cracked the Empire's communications, and now they could strike at the heart of the Empire's operations. The humans had gained access to information they never should have had, and with it, they could launch a devastating counterattack. The Empire's once invincible position had been compromised, and the humans were ready to capitalize on their newfound advantage. But for the Empire, the realization that they had underestimated the humans hit like a punch to the gut. Admiral Torek stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as the tide of the battle shifted against him. The reality of the situation was sinking in. The humans were not just fighting to survive. They were fighting to win. Their intelligence, their ingenuity, and their unyielding will to survive had transformed them into a formidable force, one that even the might of the Galactic Empire couldn't easily crush. Torek's mind raced as he processed the situation. He had thought Earth was a simple, primitive world with no real threat to the Empire. But now, as he watched his fleet falter and his forces struggle, he realized the truth. Earth's military, its intelligence, and its spirit were what made humanity an unstoppable force. The Empire had assumed that brute strength and advanced technology would be enough to defeat the humans, but they had misjudged their enemy. The realization hit him hard. The humans were not just a threat to be wiped out. They were a force to be reckoned with. The Empire's entire approach had been based on the false assumption that the humans were weak and easy to conquer. But now, in the heat of battle, Torek saw the true power of Earth's forces. The humans had proven that intelligence and determination could overcome even the most advanced technology. This moment of clarity did not come easily. Torek's pride, his years of military experience, and the Empire's countless victories across the galaxy had made him blind to the true nature of Earth's forces. He had underestimated the humans, and now, as his flagship was battered and his fleet crumbled, he realized just how wrong he had been. It was too late to turn back. The humans had already gained the upper hand, and there was little the Empire could do to stop them now. Admiral Torek's flagship, once the symbol of the Empire's dominance, was now just another target for the humans' relentless assault. The realization of his mistake weighed heavily on Torek's mind as he watched the human resistance forces advance. But the damage had been done. The Empire's once imposing presence in the galaxy had been shattered by the humans' unexpected resilience and intelligence. The humans had turned the tables, and now the Empire was on the defensive. Torek's mistake was not just a strategic error, it was a fatal miscalculation. The Empire had failed to recognize the true nature of humanity, and that failure would cost them everything. The human resistance continued to press on, taking advantage of the Empire's weakened position. With the Empire's communications compromised, the humans launched coordinated attacks on key Empire strongholds. The once feared Empire was now struggling to hold its ground, and the humans were determined to finish what they had started. As the battle raged on, the humans had proven something the Empire could no longer ignore. They were a force to be reckoned with. The Empire's overconfidence had led to its downfall, and now it was the humans' turn to show the galaxy just how powerful they truly were. Admiral Torek, once so sure of his victory, was left with nothing but the bitter taste of defeat. The Empire had learned its lesson the hard way. Earth was no longer the easy target it had once seemed. The humans had fought back with intelligence, determination, and an unbreakable spirit, and now the Empire was paying the price. The war was far from over, but one thing was clear: the Empire would never again underestimate the humans. The lesson had been learned, but it had come at a terrible cost. And for the humans, the fight for survival was just beginning. After the intense battles and devastating losses, the Galactic Empire's last fleet stood on the brink of annihilation. The humans, with their clever tactics, unbreakable spirit, and unmatched survival instincts, had dealt a crushing blow to the once mighty Empire. What had begun as a fight for survival had now turned into a complete victory. The humans had not only defended their planet, but had pushed the Empire to the brink of total collapse. The final battle was nothing short of legendary. The Empire's forces, with their vast armadas and superior technology, had been outwitted at every turn. The humans, who the Empire had once believed were nothing more than primitive beings, had proven to be their worst nightmare. With their ingenuity, quick thinking, and sheer willpower, they had destroyed the Empire's advanced fleet, leaving the once invincible military force in ruins. The Empire's commanders, including Admiral Torak, watched in disbelief as their ships were obliterated by the humans' relentless attacks. They had underestimated Earth, viewing it as nothing more than a minor obstacle in their quest for galactic dominance. But now, it was clear that Earth was more than just a challenge. They were a formidable adversary who had outclassed the Empire in every way. As the last of the Empire's warships fell from the sky, the humans did not celebrate in the way one might expect. Instead, they stood in solemn silence. Their victory was hard-earned, but it came at a great cost. Many brave men and women had given their lives to protect their planet. The memory of those sacrifices would stay with them forever. The humans knew that their fight was not just for survival, but for the future of their people and the galaxy. Amid the wreckage of the Empire's fleet, a message was sent to the remnants of their leadership. It was simple, clear, and unambiguous. Never underestimate us again. It was a message that resonated across the stars. A message that the Empire would not soon forget. The humans had shown the galaxy that they were not just survivors of a deadly war. They were warriors who could rise up and defeat even the most powerful of foes. In a desperate attempt to salvage what little honor remained, the Empire sent a peace treaty to Earth. The message was one of surrender, with a request for a ceasefire and negotiations for peace. The humans, however, did not simply accept the terms offered by the Empire. Instead, they'd made it clear that they would only agree to a peace treaty on their own terms. They had earned this victory, and they would not allow the Empire to dictate the terms of their future. Admiral Torak, once so confident in the Empire's invincibility, now found himself in the uncomfortable position of having to acknowledge defeat. The Empire, in all its glory, had been brought to its knees by the very species they had once looked down upon. Torak, who had been the architect of their invasion, was forced to reckon with the fact that his mission had failed, and humanity had proven to be a force far greater than he could have ever imagined. Sitting in his quarters, with the sounds of the battle now a distant memory, Admiral Torak wrote in his journal. The words he penned were a reflection of the lessons he had learned the hard way. Humans are not just survivors, they are warriors, and we learned the hard way that we should never challenge them. It was a rare moment of humility for a man who had once believed himself to be invincible. Torak's words would echo throughout the Empire, a reminder to future generations that humanity should never be underestimated again. The peace treaty, when it came, was a symbol of the new order that had been established. Earth, once seen as a weak and insignificant planet, had now become a respected and powerful force in the galaxy. The Empire, though still a vast and powerful entity, had learned a painful lesson about the strength of humanity. They had tried to conquer Earth, but instead, they had forged a new future alongside them. In the aftermath of the war, representatives from both Earth and the Empire met on neutral ground to sign the peace agreement. The humans, standing proud and unyielding, shook hands with the Empire's officials. It was a moment of unity, a moment of understanding. The once hostile factions now stood together, acknowledging the strength and resilience of the humans who had defeated them. The visual of this moment was powerful. The backdrop of Earth's sky, once filled with the smoke and destruction of war, was now quiet. The stars shone brightly above, signaling a new era of peace. The humans had not only defended their world, but had earned the respect of the galaxy. The war was over, and a new chapter had begun. As the peace treaty was signed, the message was clear. The Galactic Empire would never again challenge the humans. The lesson had been learned, and the consequences of underestimating Earth were now painfully obvious. The humans had proven themselves to be more than just survivors. They were warriors who had earned their place in the stars. The story of humanity's victory would be told for generations to come. It would be a story of bravery, sacrifice, and determination. A story of how the underdog can rise up against all odds and triumph over the greatest of enemies. The humans had faced a powerful adversary, one that had almost destroyed them, but they had emerged victorious. They had sent a clear message to the galaxy: never underestimate the humans, for they are a force that should never be reckoned with. As the final chapter closed on this epic tale, Earth was at peace, and the galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. The humans, once seen as insignificant, had proven that they were anything but. They were warriors, and the universe would never forget it.